to Lion Creek Brewing in Peachtree City, GA. Going to talk a little soccer down here live. And I got a good friend that I have not talked soccer with you on microphones before, Will Turpin.
We never have, so here we are.
All right, we got a lot to talk about. So you're going to get to play the role of soccer pundit today. A little bit different than playing bass on stage in front of tens of thousands of people. A little different.
Outside of a few drinks with my friends. But yes, this is official. I'm with Jason Longshore.
Wow. Well, look, we all, anybody who follows the game, we all got opinions about it. We all have our takes on it. So we're going to talk a little bit first about the U.S. men's national team. We're going to get into some Atlanta United talk. We're going to get into a big game coming up on Thursday here locally in Fayette County, Starrsville and McIntosh, one of the biggest high school rivalries you will find in the state of Georgia, and an awesome cause around it this time around. We're going to talk about all that. We've also got the Georgia Revolution in the building. We're going to talk about their NPSL season coming up and their U.S. Open Cup run. They had a game in the U.S. Open Cup last week. So we got a lot to talk about. Let's start with the national team. You got the American Outlaws shirt on. And an opportunity to either clinch tonight, going to the World Cup, an opportunity to get very, very close, or we might have a lot of heartburn on Wednesday in Costa Rica.
We don't want the heartburn. We both talked about this. It'd be great to have a really good show tonight and go ahead and close this thing out. It's not – none of this is an easy task. Soccer and all these teams keep getting better and better. Panama's going to be a worthy opponent.
Yeah, Panama's a team, too. They come in desperate after a draw in Honduras. They're a team that hasn't been to the World Cup as often as the U.S., but they went last time. We didn't.
That's right.
Maybe feeling the pressure a little bit in that game in Honduras. So what I'm intrigued by is maybe coming in before they would have come, they would have sat back, they would have looked for a counterattack, but now they have to win, and they're going to have to open up. I hope that Christian Pulisic and others can take advantage of that.
Yeah, you would think Pulisic could be the guy to take advantage if they open up a little bit. So hopefully it doesn't go the other way where they open up and they score goals early.
I feel good about Walker Zimmerman, local guy.
I love Zimmerman as a leader on the field. I like him. I'm buying that at center back.
He's been so good lately, too. Yeah. He's been so good for the national team. Miles Robinson, our local hero from Atlanta. Good performance from him in Mexico City. Early yellow card. And, man, it's so hard when you get that yellow card at the Estadio Azteca 10 minutes in to go 80 minutes and no other yellow. He was strong.
Wow, yeah. I love Miles Davis. I didn't realize he went that long on the yellow. Yeah.
Miles is a player who I think, we've talked about it with Atlanta United games here in the early part of the season. You got these 3 games coming up. You're a national team player. You can't help but look ahead a little bit. You can't help but feel that pressure. I think his Atlanta United play is really going to pick up when he comes back.
I think so too. He's definitely a long-term player there. Everybody's behind him. Everybody's loving this guy's style, and he stands everybody up, man. He stands them right up in the back line.
It's a big game tonight. It's 7:00. FS1 has the game. Today, NA in Spanish has it. If the U.S. wins, they don't necessarily clinch their spot. There are other results that have to come into play. If they win, they clinch at least the playoff spot. And then they would have to lose to Costa Rica by somewhere between 4 or 5 goals.
If they lose by a lot, both games.
Yeah, it's tricky. I think the U.S. is going to be fine. I think they handle it today. We got a Christian Pulisic fan in the front row. I think he's going to pop some goals today. It's a big opportunity. Pulisic and Gio Reyna. I want to get your take on this. I was thinking about it driving down. Clint Dempsey landed on him. Okay, probably 2 best players we've ever seen for the U.S.
And in my zone where like that just makes my hair stand up on the arm.
Both of them, like different kinds of players, but both scored the same number of goals for the national team. I think we might have that kind of duo now with Reyna and with Pulisic.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that for sure.
Pulisic's a lot like Landon.
A decade run for sure. We still got 10 years with these guys, man.
Reyna's a teenager, and that run he made at the Azteca, he dribbles past 5-6 guys, weaving in and out of defenders. When you have that kind of special talent, that's just mystical almost. And then you have a guy like Pulisic who is fast, who's quick, who's technical, who's going to get all the goals that Donovan used to get. You've got that duo that you have to big games.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering who you're. I mean, they're slightly different players, but yeah, Pulisic can kind of play. I mean, I feel like Donovan was more of a, and Pulisic does it too. But when Donovan was on the ball, it's like you kind of would just watch him do some things, especially if he felt like he was on the attack in that space. Where I feel like Pulisic still like got an idea of everybody on the field a little more than Donovan did.
Yeah, landed a little more straight lines.
Especially if the space was there, he's going to go for it.
Yeah.
But Dempsey's my all-time favorite player.
Yeah.
That'll probably, when I'm gone, when I leave this earth, he'll probably still always be my number one favorite USMNT player.
See, I'm not surprised the musician, liking somebody like Dempsey, feels like a soloist. Like he's gonna do things that you can't really predict.
Can't predict where he's going to go, how he's going to touch the ball, and he also played like he was in a band. He never left anybody. Like we were all connected.
Yes.
You never know who that assist is going to go to. Who does lead that USA assist? Who has it? Dempsey's got it.
He's close. It might be Donovan actually. 'Cause I think he had more games.
Right. And he would once he calls hat and got the back line, sometimes it was one pass and assist.
That's what's so cool about those two, and I think it's what you have right now coming with Pulisic and Reyna, in that Pulisic has his game, Reyna has his. I think they're in different lanes, but they can trade off sometimes.
Right.
Donovan and Dempsey could do that too. Clint could play as a number 9 and do some of the dirty work that you didn't really associate with him, but he'd do it, and he'd be effective. He'd do it. Landon could be that guy who would catch you by surprise sometimes with a big dribbling run, pull a couple of moves, great through ball, like Christian can.
Right.
So it's cool to see that come back because, I mean, back in my day, it was like Tab Ramos and Eric Winalda and those guys having that kind of dynamic duo. It was Donovan and Dempsey for so long, but now with Reyna back, and he's so young, and Pulisic's young, you forget it, he's been around for so long.
Yeah, he's an old, 23?
He's an old 23 or 24, I don't even want to say what that makes me feel like, but I'm going to leave that alone. It's a huge game tonight. I think something that I've said all week is you can't take qualifying for the World Cup for granted anymore.
I think we learned our lesson 4 years ago. I mean, was that the 45-yard blast heard all across USA?
Nightmares about that one, and nobody sees coming. It's just you can think that you have a great team, and I think some of the conversation around the U.S. men's national team at times gets unrealistic. Maybe we pump up our chest a little bit too big. Then it gets too negative because it was too unrealistic to begin with. This team is in a really good spot. I think the program's in a really good spot. And if they get it tonight, or if they have to go to Costa Rica and keep the score close or whatever, it's something to celebrate. Going to a World Cup is something to always celebrate.
So the World Cup's November this year. It's not going to feel normal, not being in June. But I'm with you. The whole program, the whole system. I love Greg Berhalter. I love having Americans at the helm. You got to qualify there. Everybody's going to be not happy if you do not qualify. You have to qualify. We've got plenty of talent, and we should be qualifying. I hope we see Pulisic get on the board tonight. I hope some guys get some stuff going tonight. That being said, should we even mention how good our counterparts in the Great White North are these days?
They're the best team in CONCACAF.
Okay, you're going to go ahead and say
that. They're the best team right now. And I mean, who would have seen that coming? Because Canada's only been to one World Cup, and it shows you how fast it can turn. It's so quick when you get what Major League Soccer does and all the development, all these guys getting minutes, Alphonso Davies coming through and then going to Bayern Munich. Canada has jumped that line so quick, and they're not going anywhere.
That's where I'm hoping, and I want them to stay because I like the natural competition.
I love the rivalry,
and I've always loved Canada. I've been there a lot, but toured there a lot. But yeah, I think it's here to stay. I think they're going to be one of the CONCACAF contenders every qualifying round.
Yeah, and our old friend Tata Martino in Mexico struggling, but they should be okay. Talk about unrealistic expectations.
Them we're used to saying they're going to be okay.
They're in a spot that maybe they're not used to having as many bumps in the road as they have been. There's a lot of people wanting Tata Martino to leave Mexico. I think he's going to see it out. He's going to get to the World Cup. He'll leave at the end of that. Right. It should be Canada, the U.S., and Mexico as your three automatics. The fourth place team right now, it's Costa Rica. I think they're going to get it. And then they'll play what looks like New Zealand in a one-game playoff to go. I want no part of that playoff, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, so that's CONCACAF.
Yeah, CONCACAF has gotten so much better over the years. It's a lot more difficult than it used to be back in the day. For people who don't know your soccer background, I want to get into this with you because you're probably the only person that I can think of who has sang the national anthem at an Atlanta United game, which was great. I love your take on that. That was very, very cool. Has played at Woodstock.
The second one, 1969.
No, not the original one. Not the original one. The next one. But you played at Woodstock. I don't think there's anybody else who can say those two things. And is a giant soccer fan.
All right. Okay. So there you go. That's a small club. I'm a member of.
You're the only one in it, I think. I don't know if anybody else who sang the national anthem at an Atlanta United game played Woodstock. I don't think there is anybody else.
Okay. I'll be a member of that solo club.
How'd you get into soccer?
Really, it was. I do love all sports, but growing up in Stockbridge, Georgia, the original Collective Soul band, we all grew up on the south side of Atlanta. There wasn't a lot of soccer that we grew up around. It was literally the first European tour. It was the fall of '94. And I woke up in Barcelona one morning. I tell this story every now and then. It was a Sunday morning. I was like, what is this energy in this town? It was literally an energy in the town. And it was Real Madrid versus Barcelona.
Wow.
And I wasn't really a true fan.
Yeah.
I watched the game at a pub, and next thing you know, I'm in Italy. I'm buying an AC Milan jersey. And actually, there's a lot of pictures of me because it was red and black.
Yeah.
I still wear a lot of red and black. My base is red. My shoes are red. But there's a lot of pictures of me, 94 through 96. I'm wearing AC Milan, red and black.
We got one of our contributors on the network who is from Italy, family's from Italy, huge Milan fan. So he's going to be very happy with this development.
Yeah, he'll have to find some old pictures and throw them up on the podcast.
Definitely will do that.
I know I've got some. But and then my first son was born in '97, and then I've got two other sons. Tristan is my oldest. Jude is a senior at Stars Mill, and Luke is a sophomore at Stars Mill. And soccer became our family sport. Tristan still coaches. He's a staff coach at Atlanta Fire.
That's awesome.
Plays with the Reds. Plays with the ADSL team with the Reds. Yep. And like I said, Jude and Luke are in high school, and they're at Stars Mill playing soccer. They're both on the team. I started as a musician, just an athlete. I always loved coaching too, man. When they were younger, I coached them. I was the coach. There's a lot of kids that know me as Coach Will, not as Will, the bassist. I don't like using the word rock star, but a lot of people call me a rock star.
Yeah,
I get it. I call myself a professional musician.
Okay. That's the humble brag way to do it. I got it. That's cool.
But I love coaching them, and all the way, like even indoor, like the indoor leagues, those indoor teams that we coached up to 12 and 13 years old. Right around 13, when they're serious about soccer, they have real coaches. We'll have a few of those on later. Yeah, but I just love it, man. It's been something that our family has enjoyed, and we will continue to do it. We're a soccer family, and that brings me to, by the time I beg Atlanta United, let me sing the national anthem. It's something else I just take a lot of pride in, singing the anthem.
That was a really cool take you did on it too. It's different. I love it.
It's slightly different, but I try to keep the melody that Jack sang.
Yeah, I loved it. I love that so much. I want to talk to you about the music thing for a minute because the past couple of years have been, I'm sure, insane in your professional life and just how that's been. You've been able to get back out last year, out in front of crowds again, and have those experiences. Yeah. What was it like to go through the pandemic where you couldn't tour and then get back on the road and the rush you got from the crowd?
Yeah, that's a real thing. I think people who enjoy live music realize that there's a energy transfer that's like 100% tangible. You can
Yep.
feel it. You can't deny it. Right?
Yep.
When it's right, there's something there that lifts everybody. The guys on stage, all the way to the person in the back, that's watching.
Yep.
So yeah, that was great. I mean, Ed kept saying on stage, it's just great to see faces again, and it really was. We as a band, Collective Soul, we still, 27 years later, have to record new music. We have to always be creating something. It's just something that makes our blood flow. But the other part of that is playing live. And thank God it's a thing for people, because we heard it from the fans over and over, like, this ain't right. I got a whole summer where I can't see live music. And it's actually towards the end of the summer, I had people like communicate with me, and we're like, not only that I know I was going to miss it, but at the end of the summer, I'm like, it's kind of hurting me, I'm kind of like really missing it. But it's just been a blessing to be able to create music with my friends and continue to do it for this long. And like I said, the energy we create, we've been calling the live shows for about a decade now. We started calling them a celebration of life. It's just about getting out there, sharing the words. Everybody's got their own experiences and their own memories with these songs. Yeah. But the people who allow you to become like a soundtrack to their life, it's a big deal. And when we get in there and we celebrate it, and we sing the words and we play music, it's super special. Yeah. So we missed it. We missed it a lot.
There's so much of a crossover. It's funny how you came to soccer from being on tour, because that energy release you talk about, a good game will give you that too.
I didn't know there was a soccer match going on, and I literally asked somebody, what is this energy in this town? I saw people walking around, and my question was, what is going on in here? And it was a soccer match.
Yeah, you get in. I mean, I think to MLS Cup in 2018, the game last week for Atlanta United with a stoppage time equalizer, and the noise and the feeling. It's like a big moment in a concert.
Yeah,
it's like that moment where everybody is singing along to that song for that band. You know what I mean? Every band has
it's only in that moment, and that's what they're focused on. And then something becomes real. We got that many people focused on that.
So I'm a music junkie. I'm musically schizophrenic. I got to ask you a couple of questions before we move on to some soccer stuff. Favorite song that your band or Collective Soul that you guys cover?
We've had some good covers over the year. There was early on, there was "Drop the Bomb on Me." We did really good with that by the Gap Band.
I never heard y'all do that.
It's a good rock version.
Okay.
Of that. In a nice little way, we used to go right from one of our songs into "Mother" by Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
That was a big moment too. We had cover too. Revolution. We used to go into Revolution by the Beatles. We had so many that we used to go through. We don't usually play more than one or two cover tunes in a set, but over 27 years, we've had some good ones. Okay, my favorite. Okay, lately I'll go with that because I grew up on it and I'm a big fan. We've been playing a version of "The One I Love" by REM.
So I'm a huge REM fan, so that is cool. I cannot wait to see that.
I'm a little older than you, but that's in our wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Being from Georgia.
Yeah.
And I know as a musician, I was super proud, but I think everybody from Georgia is always super proud of REM.
Yeah.
And yeah, we covered "The One I Love" now. Do a fun version of that.
That's awesome. Okay, I can't wait to see that. What is a song that you've been dying to cover that you have not been able to yet?
I don't know.
There's got to be something in there.
I like all the. It'd probably be kind of like a semi-obscure Wings tune or something. Like I listen to Paul McCartney over and over. I mean, maybe like what's the one song I'm thinking of? It's a song, "Beware My Love" off of Wings' Speed of Sound would be fun. I'm kind of like I just listen to those Wings records over and over and over. After I'd learned everything I could about the Beatles, or I felt like by the time I was like in my mid-30s. And I was like, oh my gosh. I knew these Wings hits, but now, the last 15 years, I like the Wings records better than I like the Beatles records. So, Paul McCartney does it for me.
Yeah.
Elton John, all the classics.
That's awesome.
Queen.
Yeah, Queen. I'll go into Queen all the time. I've been on an Eagles kick lately for some
Eagles,
reason, which I've never been
fundraising.
huge, but lately it's just that's where I'm at.
It's good to delve into the records and actually
Yes.
start listening to records. Oh, you've heard a few of the Eagles hits. You know that, and you're not a huge fan, but then you delve into records, and you're like, oh, I see what they were doing.
Yep.
This is cool.
Yep.
This is cool. And you get a new appreciation.
Favorite moment with Collector Soul in your life?
Okay. Yeah, these are. It's hard to pick one. Man.
I know.
Okay, I would say the most pivotal moment was probably in '95 when Sammy Hagar, our agent, had told Sammy and the guys at Van Hagen that we were busy and we were finishing up a record. Sammy didn't take no for an answer. He got us on the phone while we're in the studio. Ed comes back in the room. We're going on tour again. But I'd say the moment, maybe second or third show into that tour, the moment that I knew that those guys were going to teach us a whole lot, and they were going to treat us like it was a cross between little brothers and maybe a nephew or something. It wasn't a father figure, but the moment that I, even just the moment that Eddie Van Halen, I remember Eddie putting his arm around me going and talking to his stage manager, going, see these guys, these Collector Soul guys, let them do whatever they want to do. And that's cool. That's kind of a little bit of responsibility because I could have screwed that up.
Well, yes, that's true.
But we didn't screw that up over 3 months, and we had a blast and created friendships. And like I said, what they taught us and what they did for us, I know that wasn't one moment, and I stand to this question, but the moment that I realized that it was going to be, we were going to learn so much and have new friends, that was a big deal.
That's very cool. I saw you guys probably a little bit before that open for Aerosmith.
It was a year, almost exactly a year before that.
Late '94, I think. Saw you guys open then.
Man, you know your numbers. Everybody else misses them.
I was in high school. I remembered it because of where it was in my high school year, my senior year. But what I'll always remember is one of the best shows I've ever seen out of, I don't know how many. The Fox, it was a 99X New Year's or Chinese New Year show. And you guys were not last. You were next to last. You should have been last because you wiped the whole crowd out. It was incredible that night. It was a blast. So thank you for that.
Well, that's a good memory, and you remind me. The Bodines are a great band.
Yes.
But I left that stage that night going, oh, I feel sorry for the Bodines.
Because young people run up on the stage, and you weren't the last band.
Yeah, the stage was full of fans. Everybody rushed the stage. It was a great show.
Yeah, that was a blast. That's seriously one of the best performances I've seen in all my years.
Anybody who has video of everybody on stage with us in '95 at Chinese New Year, was that late in '97?
It was a little bit later,
97.
97, 96, somewhere in that ballpark.
Please send us video or pictures. I don't have any of those, but it was real. It happened.
Yeah, I saw it. It happened. I was too far back. I couldn't run up on stage, but I saw it.
Ed invited everybody.
He did.
He said, if you know the words and you want to dance and hang out, then come on stage. Next thing you know, I'm running behind the drummer to try and find space so I can play.
It was one of the coolest. It's the only time I've seen the Fox full of people running on stage. It was very cool.
It has. Thanks for bringing that memory back. That was real.
No worries. It's serious. It's one of the best shows I've seen. Let's get into what's coming up this week, Thursday. Stars Mill and McIntosh. It's going to be on our Soccer Down Here game of the week. So if you guys are not able to attend, you can listen to our radio call on our Soccer Down Here app, which you can download for free, iOS or Android, whichever one you want. You can also listen to it at soccerdownhere.net, but it'll be a radio call. Girls game at 6, boys game at 8, and it's got a really cool kind of cause attached to it. It's something that these two schools have been doing for a minute, right?
Yeah, I think it's been going on at least maybe 10 years now. It's called Battle for the Troops. So you've got the two rival high schools, and it's such a big game. There's 300, 400 people at the high school soccer match. And someone made a great decision a long time ago to include charities. And the charities are always first responders or veterans groups. So yeah, we're raising money for Camp Southern Ground, the Warrior Week they do out there. And can't remember the other name of the charity group, but it's all on Facebook. You can look it up.
Stars Mill Soccer has got it on Facebook for you. Camp Southern Grounds Veterans Programs, Warrior Week, Warrior Path is part of it. These are groups you know, right?
Yeah, well, Camp Southern Ground, Zach Brown kind of started that. It's
Yeah.
all around here, and yes, of course, I'm friends with all the guys, and it's just a really cool thing. And I've been to Camp Southern Ground. I've been part of their Warrior Weeks, and some of the stuff that's just there for veterans. There's just so many different events they do there. The one event that I'm kind of part of every now and then is creative events, where veterans who have a poetry side or a musical side, we creative events puts them together with professional musicians, and during a day and a half, we actually get with these guys who have some lyrics. Some of them have a melody, some of them play guitar, don't really have the lyrics. But we get groups together. We maybe 4 or 5 different groups are writing songs. We separate them, we come together, we show everybody the music we created. And within like 24 hours, there's some really, really great music and really inspirational lyrics that get put to art. And it kind of, it's therapy for everybody. I mean, let's don't doubt that, man. I mean, we know what adversity does to artists. Some of the best stuff comes out of tragedy. But it's been moving, and it's been really fun to be a part of it.
That's amazing. What's cool about this, my life's been in soccer, and I've always tried to pass that on and use it for good. We use a hashtag around soccer down here called Soccer for Good. And I love where you're able to take what you do and use it for good in the world. And where we're able now to take something you're passionate about, soccer, and the music side, when you're able to work out with these guys and do that creatively, that's an amazing process. This is such a cool thing that it's a rivalry game that has a lot of intensity to it. Teams don't like each other very much. All week, you get the teams competing. And if you go to their Facebook pages, you find their social medias, Instagram's got it too. There's QR codes for each team to donate, because the competition starts now.
Yeah, there will be a quote unquote winner to the charity side as well.
Yeah, everybody's a winner, luckily, which is great, because both charities are going to really benefit. But yeah, it is. Both schools are trying to outraise the other one in the build up to the game. It's awesome to use a big game and a big rivalry that, look, whistle to whistle, yeah, it'll be intense, and you'll see some trash talking and all the things. I call the state championship between these two schools, and it didn't end with many handshakes at the end of it. I can tell you that.
That was only 2 years ago.
Yes.
Or 3 years ago, we got the season that everybody lost.
Right.
That was 3 years ago.
But that's why we love the game.
It's the game that both teams are looking at.
Yeah, 100%.
But there's not going to be a whole lot of friendliness necessarily going on. But they all kind of grew up together playing soccer, and they all know each other. But it'll start off chippy. Everybody's going to try to get an angle right from the beginning. Right from the beginning, somebody's going to try to get a little more of an angle. If I get my opportunity to take this guy out of the game, it might happen, even though they've known each other their whole lives.
That's how these things go. I mean, what's so cool about high school soccer in the state right now is, high school football, we've seen these rivalries over the years. Everybody knows about that. But we had the opportunity to call Dalton and Johnson at Gainesville. And you had about 1,000 people there. And you've got fans from both. And it was a 5-4 just crazy game. We had Walton a couple weeks ago. Big game for them. You get these big rivalries all over the state that people might not know about if it's not your pocket. This is one of the best. And when you have state championship games between them, but just years of history, this is a game that if you're on the south side of town on Thursday, you're going to see good soccer, good intensity.
That'll be good, man. People are good. So many good players around here, man. They're just so many good players.
Yeah,
it's legit. Both benches would fit, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got the young kids coming up. They're going to want to be part of this game down the road. We do, since you're maybe a little biased towards Stars Mill. No offense, but maybe a little biased.
I kind of coached a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Both teams.
Okay.
I remember coaching a bunch of kids on the McIntosh-Starr when they were young.
Okay.
Part of me will still be glad if they're successful.
Right.
as an individual.
Right. Not on the scoreboard at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But we do have to have equal time here. We've got McIntosh and some folks from McIntosh. If we could get them to come up, we'll chat a little bit about this game. Bunky, you want to? Okay, he's coming.
Guys want drinks?
I'm good. You want anything? Is this-
I'm good right now, too.
Thank you. Yeah, I have to have equal time here. You know, I have to be fair in all this. So this, what I've loved getting to know this rivalry is it is a good rivalry. It's a very intense game between two teams. That, yeah, you got a lot of players who grew up together. You got a lot of players who probably play club together now, played club together in the past. But when you put the McIntosh shirt on, you put the Stars Mill shirt on, it's serious, and it's one of the best rivalries in the state.
Yeah, when people ask me, you know, what's the rivalry like? I often say, you know, it's like when you play a really close friend or a brother.
Yep.
You know, growing up, I had two older brothers. You know, I dreamed of beating them and whatever we were, you know, and it's kind of like that. So it's harsh before, but when it's over, there's a different spirit to that. And there's, like when we play Dalton, we don't even want to look at each other.
Yeah.
After a Stars Mill McIntosh game is over, it's over.
Yeah.
And we hug each other, and we, you know, and you were talking about that state championship guy.
Yeah.
I said to my team before we walked out, Mike Haney is my friend, and I love him. But for the next 80 minutes, all I want to do is mess with him.
Yeah.
And when it's over, I'm going to hug him, and we're going to be friends. But for the next 80 minutes, it's not about friendship. It's about family. And we're a family, and we're going to fight for each other, and we can be friends when it's over. And that's really the way the McIntosh-Starr game is.
And it feels so much better when you lay your head on the pillow and you won, no matter who your friend is.
Well, and I'll say this, you know, 2010 we played in the state championship. And we scored a goal with 30 seconds left to win it. And my first thought was, God, I don't wish that on Mike.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is that would have been the second time that happened. He lost to Brookwood on a ball knocked into the box. They got hit over the goalkeeper against Brookwood in the early 2000s, and they lost that game. And that game had the 45 seconds run out. They would have been coaching.
Right. Oh, yeah.
This was overtime. 45 seconds left, and they didn't do penalties back then. So when it went in, I thought, God, I don't wish that on Mike. And then the referee waved the goal off, and I thought, God, I don't wish it on me either. What the heck? And we lost in penalties.
Oh.
And, you know, so you're talking about the game 2 years ago, you know, whoever loses doesn't walk off the field feeling good about it.
Right.
But, you know, and I thought, that's Mike's last game.
Yeah.
And then I thought about 2010, and I said, well, it evens out, we're good. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
So I really feel like the rivalry's that way.
Yeah.
We don't hate each other.
Yeah. You get some that have that animosity. This feels
It's
a little
just
different.
that we don't want to lose to each other,
Right.
no matter what. And it's bigger than bragging rights. There's just something to it. It's just that inside you can't stand the thought of losing to each other.
Yeah.
But when it's done, we don't hate each other. We like each other.
Right.
They've spent too much time around each other. They actually love each other. But dude, it's a playoff game for these guys in the regular season. They look at the regular season schedule and go, I wonder who's going to end up with the best highlights on that game. You know, it's a lot of bragging rights, and and like you said, it'll be plenty chippy, and they'll be given 110%. But it's just soccer for them. I've seen practices that get chippy. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
But
you get that different situation, I think, with a rivalry like this, and maybe Georgia high school gets this in some rivalries because of the kids growing up together, playing club together, being teammates so often that you guys in Dalton, you don't have that relationship.
No.
Those guys have never played together, so there is more friction, there is more animosity. This, you know, probably in the summer, a lot of these guys are going to be on teams together at some point.
Yeah.
all day.
Well, and you talk about coaching when they're younger. My son Sam is a junior this year. He's not playing, but when he was young and he played, Jacobo, lots of those kids were on the team that I coached with him. And so we know those guys too. And we don't wish them any harm. There's no harm there, but man, we don't.
But you want to win so bad.
Oh, so bad. You really, but look, I mean, it is what it is. When we finish the game, we get on the bus and we're riding home. I'll pull up, your sports scoreboard or Max Prep, and I already know our score. So what's the first score I look for? I'll look to see the Stars Mill winner lose.
Yeah.
That's the
We've
first
been
thing.
sandbagging this year, so those scores aren't helping.
But you know what? This year, it's going to have a heavier edge than even normal, because the thing about this year, I think there's a little bit more pride in being the region champion and the county champion. I just feel like there's a little more edge to it.
Yeah.
Especially for us.
Right.
Last year, it's our only loss. There's an edge to it. Before we can think about state playoffs, this is the most important thing in front of us. And I think for both teams, it's going to be a little more special who wins the game.
Yeah.
Just make sure you remind Caleb Kreitner, Jacob Watuki, Carter Crow, remind them of everything Coach Will did for them, how I developed them.
I will remind him as soon as the game's over.
There it is. No,
I'll say, hey, go thank you. Thank you for the region championship. He did a great job with you guys.
There is a little bit of that subplot to it. You mentioned it's been a little bit of a difficult year for Stars Mill. It hasn't been at the same level as we're used to. That happens sometimes, but man, everything gets fixed really quick if you win this game.
Yeah, I mean, and we see, you know how injuries go. Doesn't matter if it's USA or Atlanta United. We haven't had really, and we're not as thick as we have been in the past as far as depth goes.
Right.
But man, we hadn't had what we would consider the starting lineup, maybe one game. Just injuries, it just happens.
It's tough, and in high school, it's such a short run that a couple of injuries, that can take a month out of your season. And
A 5-week injury, okay, that's half the season.
yeah, it's really difficult. What about McIntosh? How's the year going for you guys?
We've had some of the same situation. Friday, we played Pace, and it was one of those games. First half, we were up 1-0. We probably should have been up 3. Going at halftime, and 2 of the defenders picked up injuries. And we're like, so we have to hold them out in the second half. And it changed the game.
Yeah.
We're up 1-0 with 5 minutes left, and they got one. And then, you're thin and you don't have anybody else you can put in the back. And, a minute left, they scored it up.
Yeah, that was strong team. We played them the same week. That was a good squad.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things that, those 2 guys are on the field, they're probably going to give up 2 goals. We see it out. But it's one of those things that we've had to change personnel so much that we've had to change formations, and you're disjointed. And so it's been a roller coaster, We've gone out and beaten a really good team, and then, tied a team that wasn't quite as good, and then, go out and get everybody healthy and have a great performance, and then the next week, you're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And so we've been a little less consistent, than we have been. And so that's why I say this game's going to, I think, mean a little more, because both teams have been through a lot of struggle.
Oh, and when some of these guys have injuries, they basically are holding out until this week.
Then you start to think about that, yeah.
All right,
Because you don't want to miss this
I'm
game.
not playing last week against Pace. I know a couple guys didn't play against Pace last week. Because we're going to be healthy for the McIntosh game.
100%.
Sure.
There's a little
That's
extra
why we
to it.
held the 2 guys out the second half.
Exactly.
We're not going to risk you for next week.
Right. That's the one you can't miss.
We're not going to,
region against Pace.
Well, and this week decides your seeding for state.
Yeah.
That matters. We played Tuesday against Harris County, and then Thursday Stars Mill. So this will decide, where you sit, and it is important. Last year when we lost,
We got a bad draw at number 1 last year.
well, no, this actually, we lost that game. And I went over and said, congratulations, Michael. It's awesome, and when's your last, reach a championship, your last season? And we shook hands and gave him a hug, and I walked away, and Brian Messer was walking back with me, my assistant. And I looked at Brian and said, congratulations, they get to go to Johnson.
Exactly. Good call.
Yeah.
He goes,
That's
oh,
not the
wow.
easy
I
one.
said, yeah. If I got to lose one, even though it's Stars Mill,
That's the one.
Dude,
Y'all had a little
I
better
don't want to
run.
go to Johnson on a Wednesday night or Tuesday. And
That-
no.
One of the toughest
So
places
I want
to
to play
go.
Johnson on a neutral field.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
it was the difference in their season
really
versus
was the
our season.
difference.
That was the difference.
And we had that game on the end of a couple people's foot. We lost that game 2-1 at Johnson. And it's not a good field to go play at. And the logistics much better than I do, but I was still befuddled, even when I was going to the game. Why are we playing away on an undefeated season, number 1 in the region? I see 4 losses on Johnson's,
Yeah.
but that was the game, and you were
It's the game.
100%
That's how
right.
they
That's how we got kicked out of the playoffs.
It was the game. And playing them at Johnson,
It's different.
you
Totally
can
different game.
add 30% advantage towards them that you wouldn't normally have.
Yeah.
On a home game or a neutral side, it's a completely different
It's
deal.
got to be one of the toughest places to play in the state.
And a good team.
Oh,
I'm not taking anything
Oh,
away.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly.
But I'm
It's
like,
because they're
why
good
are we
and
here?
it's
Oh, yeah.
difficult.
Oh, yeah,
We just
absolutely.
been undefeated.
Johnson, I had a chance to call the Johnson-Dalton game this year, and
That
it
was
was
good.
one of the craziest games I've ever called in my life at any level. It was
Yeah.
5-4. Dalton jumped out in the lead 2-0. Johnson came all the way back, won 5-4. And it's that field, it's turf now, that's great, but it's tiny. Those guys know it. They can play, in a bandbox. Those guys are so technical that they're used to it, and they just never felt like they were out of the game. And they're
Well,
so tricky.
I still say all the state championship games, all the rivalry games that I've seen, still the best high school soccer game I've ever witnessed was a game between us and Dalton at Dalton.
I have not done a game there, but that's one on my list that I want to. I can't wait to do it.
I mean, it was one of those things our JVs played,
Yeah,
and it was an unbelievable JV game.
yeah.
And then it was one of those things that the JV could have left and gone home, and they all stayed, and their crowd packed out the place, and it was, that field that they normally play at, it's not real live,
Right.
but the stands are right on top of it. That's why it's not real live.
Yeah.
And so it was crazy. I mean, a couple of guys before the game, they were like, "Coach, this is crazy."
Yeah.
The atmosphere. And that game was such a well played game that, when the game ended, it was 1-1. We went into overtime, and then we ended up going to PKs. And it came down to their keeper made a save and our keeper didn't. That was the difference. And the Dalton guys had been on like a 50-game win streak. And literally, their guys had tears running down their face because the kid hit the PK.
Yeah.
And just came over hugging us, going, "Y'all are the best team we've played. What a great game." And we don't like each other, but it was just everybody spilt everything.
Yeah.
And it wasn't somebody made a mistake. It wasn't, it was just every person gave everything they had, and the quality was high. When we walked off that field, you were like, wow, that was a game I'll never forget.
I got a question for you. How many games, and it's happened to me a lot over my lifetime watching three boys play a lot of competitive soccer. How many games you get to walk away from where you lose and you go, that was as good as I've expected. We lost that game. I am super proud of this team. We did as good. We played as well as we're going to play. We just ended up on the scoreboard losing.
Not many.
Not many.
I can think of two.
Yeah, they're rare. They're rare. And we had one, Starsville had one about 2 weeks ago, and I think we lost 2-1. But I was smiling ear to ear. I was like, that was a good game. That was a really, really, really good game. I don't know. I know those are unicorns, but it's real with soccer. It can be a little bit of a cruel game. The size of the field and where the fans are and all that stuff changes, and all those things are different. The size of the goal and how many players are on the field, That never changes. It can be a cool game, but I've seen a handful of games that we lost. I was like, holy crap.
I think it was 2011, if I remember right. You know, we had graduated a lot of players. It was kind of a similar situation that Stars was in this year. And so you got a group of guys that are coming in, even the guys who are returning are probably bench players, and you're just young. And that season, we kind of had one of those situations. And we played early in the year against College Hill, and they just whipped us. And I remember sitting in the locker room with one of the seniors, Ryan DeBar. Everybody left, and Ryan looks at me and he goes, "What are we going to do for this?" And I said, "Ryan, we just have to accept we're just not that good right now. We got a lot of work to do." But I said, we got a group of guys that are willing to fight for each other and love each other. And I said, we just got to stick together. And I think we lost 5 games that year. And we just took the lumps all through the season. And we got into the playoffs. And at that point, we were just a group of guys who were going to get out there and give everything we had. And we knew that in any moment it could fall apart. And the knowledge of that kind of glued us together. And so,
A little bit of nothing to lose.
yeah, nothing to lose. I mean, you just, and so, we don't have that striker that's going to, so you know what, we're just going to put the ball in the next year. We're all going to fight for it. It was kind of like that. When we get in the playoff run, we had a couple of easy wins in the first 2 rounds, and then we have to go to Lambert. And Lambert and Chattahoochee were just ridiculous. And, literally, we get off the bus at Lambert, quarterfinal. We're walking to out of the locker room of the field. It was prom. So several of the players' girlfriends are sitting in the stands with their dresses. And right before we step on the field, one of the girls said, "Guys, now, when you lose today, I don't want y'all to be sad all night at prom." That's the last thing said to us as we're walking on the field.
Famous last words.
Wow. Okay.
And so we start the game, and holy cow, they're so much better than us. I mean, literally, we're holding on for dear life. They score. I mean, they're just pounding us, and we take a guy who's really fast and strong, Dylan Crocker, and I'm like, dude, I don't care if you're a forward or not. You got to mark this guy. He's killing us. And in every moment, I mean, every time he touches the ball, he can kill us. And so Dylan starts marking him, and he's just, hanging on for dear life. We get to the half, and, everybody's wild-eyed, like, oh, crap, what are we going to do? It should be 5-0. I mean, and so we adjusted what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. And, Brian says to me as they're walking on, "Is that going to work?" I said, "I don't know." Hey, man,
I lost that crystal ball on the way into the game, man.
we got like 4 guys who were at the level of these guys. I don't know, And we just held on. But as the game went on, they got more frustrated in the second half.
That happens often.
They got really frustrated. They're looking, we should be up 4-0. I mean, and so, the backs start getting a little too high, and they pressing a little bit. And our guys, they just dug in. And as they got frustrated, we started, our fitness started kicking in, and they were just not quite getting to us. And we're able to put 3, 4, 5 passes together. And about 20 minutes into that second half, it shifted. We start getting some chances. We start getting in a little bit. They get more frustrated. And so, we get to the point where there's 15 minutes left, and we're just going for it. And I mentioned Ryan Navarro earlier. Ryan had a lot of quad pull, so he was limited in what he could do. Senior, the guy's the heart of the team, So, he's like, "Coach, this might be it for me. Just give me a chance." So we put him in. At the attacking men, we're like, "You guys got to cover for him, can't get back." And so we get in, and a cross comes in, and our forward goes, and the goalkeeper for them is frustrated, and he collides with our forward in the box before the ball even gets there. They call it PK. There's 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. We get a PK, we tie it up. Of course, the goalkeeper has to come out of the game.
Right.
Coach is angry at the goalkeeper, so we don't put him right back in. He's yelling at me.
Oh, yeah. This is how it goes.
They kick off, they go down, hit the post.
Oh.
Ball comes out. We clear it. I mean, we just cleared the ball. We cleared it wide. One of our guys gets in, crosses it. Guy running in heads it. It hits their post and comes out. But it comes out to the top of the 18, and there's Ryan Gardner attacking it. And I'm looking at Ryan, and I see him grit his teeth. I mean, he's gritting his teeth, running as hard as he can. And I'm like, he's going to bash it. And sure enough, he hits it as hard as he can. And it was one of those things. It went through the crowd into the upper 90, bang, goal. And he literally fell on the ground, and everybody piled on top of him. And I look, and there's 1:10 left. And Ryan and I are looking at us like, you've got to be kidding me. So we get up, take Ryan out. We get up. There's 1:10 left. They kick off, and no lie, they had 3 shots on goal in the last minute and a half. Our keeper makes a great save.
Still has to come up with a great save.
Yeah, and they put one over the top, and they hit the crossbar on the other. And the game's over. And they're all laying on the ground.
Yeah, you're just dead.
And we're just berserk. And my goalkeeper coach, John Brigovich, is yelling, Dragon Slayers, you're Dragon Slayers. Just we're going nuts. And Wilson walks over and shakes my hand and looks like he was in a car wreck. He looks at me like, what the hell
Probably
is
felt
happening?
like he was in a car wreck.
And so, we get up and go to the prom. I walk in, my athletic director, Steve Cole, goes, how'd it go, coach? And I said, we stole one. I can't say anything other than that. They were better than us. So then we got to go all the way down. Sorry, it's long.
That's great.
We got to go all the way down to Glen Academy. First time they've ever held a semifinal. And the coach goes, this should be a great game. My seniors have never lost a home game in 4 years.
He tells you that.
Wow.
before the game.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a little.
I don't.
That's
Probably
a
not
little
mentioning
something
that.
you
And
don't
it's-
say.
I don't
Yeah.
want to jinx that either.
Yeah.
And we're
Cozy
so
code,
excited to host our first semifinal.
Oh, dude, your mouth started watering.
It did.
How fast did
It
you
did.
tell her?
You can imagine what I said when I got in the locker room to
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
We come out, great game. We beat them 1-0. The goal we scored, no lie. Ball knocked into the box, and our kid is kind of steps funny, he gets off balance, and hits him in the butt, and goes in the goal. That's the goal. It came off Bailey Brooks' butt.
Will ever be known. Will always be known as the butt goal.
Oh, they talk about it still.
So now we're in the finals against Chattahoochee. And Chattahoochee at that time, they had 9 academy players as starters. I mean, they were loaded to
Yeah.
and so we've got to go up there and play in the Chattahoochee for the final. And, first goal, they score about 20 minutes in the first half. They hit a shot. Our goalkeeper slips, can't quite get to it. Great shot. We're down 1-0. We're in the second half, 20 minutes left, still 1-0. And, we start sending players forward, So we go to 3 in the back. 15 minutes left, we're getting a couple of chances, and they counter and they score.
Down 2.
Now we're down 2 with about 15 minutes left. So we go to a 2-4-4.
I mean, it's the state championship.
It's the
You gotta
state
do whatever.
championship.
Yeah.
We got to try. We got to try.
Yeah.
So we're in a 2-4-4. We get a couple chances. We don't score them. They counter. They score. We're down 3-0. Clock runs out. It's over. To my point, guys are all just, heartbroken. We're standing there, and they give out the medals, and they put second place medal on, and as soon as they put it on, they took it off, and, and we're standing there, and I said, put that thing back on.
Finalists is what they call it.
Right. I said, put that thing back on. He goes, what? We didn't win. I said, did you give everything you got? They said, Coach, we gave everything we got. I said, boys, they were better than us. And there's never any shame at losing to a team better than you. I have not been any more proud of any team that's won state than I am of you guys. You guys overachieved. We should have never been in the state championship. And so it's rare that you have that. To your question, it's rare that you walk off the field after a loss.
A loss, but you're super, super proud.
But I couldn't have been more proud of that group. They didn't have any business being there. And they fought with everything they had, you know. So I think that's all we can ever ask for. And sometimes I think we think winning and losing is all that matters. But let's be honest. The truth is all that really matters is, did you give everything you had? Did you do it the right way? Can you walk off the field with your head up? That's why I think this game Thursday is going to be special, because it's going to be one of those games. They're going to leave it all out there. And no matter what happens when they walk off, both teams will go, I did everything I could do. Yeah, I gave it all. And there'll be a level of respect.
Oh, as soon as the game's over, everything you guess for this.
Yeah.
Dang it. One of them's like, dang it. The other one's like,
You know, one of our guys,
By the time you come out of the locker room, so everybody's kind of like, yeah, okay, now we're back
you
where
know,
we were.
it'll be like, you know, hey, Bobo, great game, love you, man. Hope you lose the first round. It's stuff like that, you know. But there'll be a level of respect.
they have fun. They do have fun. It's a great rivalry. Nothing else to be said about that. It's just a great rivalry. Good soccer.
I can't wait to see it on Thursday. You can listen to it on our soccer down here at Bunky. Tell me a little bit about how the charitable aspect came
Sure.
together.
You know, after 9/11, there were a lot of things done and stuff, and so not long after that, there was discussion about, can we do something for wounded warriors? That's where it started. So it became known as Battle for the Troops. And so Mike and I, we discussed that, yeah, we could do that every year. We try to do that, like when we play Whitewater, Soccer for a Cure,
Yeah.
Cancer.
Yeah.
So we always try to do that for our big games. And so we just, it just started with our booster clubs hosting back and forth. And then first responders were added in to the charity. And so whichever school is the home school, they'll pick a charity and related to those two causes, and we really work to raise money. And then about 4 years into it, took on special meaning for our side, because one of my former players, Daniel Brzezinski, lieutenant that was in Iraq, his crew was supposed to go and look for landmines. And so he and another lieutenant went out in the field to look for landmines. And he, unfortunately, the other lieutenant stepped on the front of the landmine and didn't survive. Daniel stepped on the backside, so when he stepped off, it blew his legs off. And so, you know, Daniel was a goalkeeper for us about 4 years, you know, after we started it. And so I always tell the kids, you know, before we walk out of the field about Daniel, and want them to know why this game's important, why we're raising money, and that it's a game, but it's to remind us of some important things. I always tell them about Daniel. And unfortunately, a couple of years ago when we hosted, Daniel was able to come. And what I explained to him is, you know, his men drug him off the battlefield, and he was flown back to Walter Reed. When he woke up, he found out that he was a above-the-knee amputee. And they said to him, you know, you can have a prosperous life, you can have a good life, but you won't ever walk again. No one that's a double amputee has ever walked again. So we want you to have a realistic view, and we're going to bring you back. And Daniel told me, he said he was, you know, he was down for a long, long time. But at a point when, you know, he's like, I've got to go on, he said, I needed a goal. So I said, I'm going to be the first, you know, above the knee double amputee to walk. And so he started making that his goal. And, you know, I tell the guys, I said, you know, you get to go out and play a game against your friends tonight. And win or lose, there'll be another day, another adventure. I said, can you imagine how bad Daniel would love to play another soccer game? Don't take this for granted. Go out and have fun and enjoy it and make this a special experience. But you've got something special here. And a couple years ago, Daniel came and talked to him, you know, and told him, hey, man, how great this is. So long story short, Daniel set that goal. And I told him that story like I always do. What was cool the night that he was here he's sitting over, we had some tables set up on the track, and he's sitting over there, and all the players come over and, thank you for being there and all. And we all line up for the national anthem. And we had a color guard coming out to do it. And they didn't expect this, but Daniel stands up and walks over on his prosthesis and salutes between the two teams. And they then told his story that he was the first double amputee to ever walk, and now he does all kind of, charitable events. He's got his own company here in Atlanta, does some great work. So it took on new meaning for us. So when I think of Battle for the Troops, I think of Daniel Krasinski. And I think of all those guys who've been on our teams, who have served our country and have risked their lives. And this is one day that we can do something to honor them and to appreciate them. We always invite our former players who are in the military to be there with us. And it's just a good day that we can stop and remember, whatever happens in the soccer games is one thing, but there are people who risk their lives for us every day so that we can have great soccer games like McIntosh-Starr.
Yeah, I mean, it's super important. I mean, Daniel's story is amazing. That's awesome. I know that Collective Soul, the band, we've done so much stuff for the USO, playing overseas, going to Walter Reed Hospital multiple times in 27 years. There's nothing that makes you have a better appreciation for where you live and what you do than supporting troops, or even the opportunity I got to have, go overseas and play for basically kids that just want a little piece of home. There's no better appreciation I've ever felt in my career than doing it. And it's real, and it's good to show the youth what's real out there, man. This is real, and it's super important. And these things that they do, it matters in all of our lives.
What I love about it is, you guys, different backgrounds. Anybody in soccer, anybody who's passionate, I think it's about life in general. We can use what we're passionate about to better the world around us. And that's what I love about this game. I feel like in soccer, it's a little intrinsic. Teamwork is so critical to the sport. You have to help each other out. You have to make that run for somebody who can't anymore. You have to work together to get to the common goal. And I think a lot of people who either love soccer or played it or coach it take that into their life and take that into helping others who need that helping hand in whatever way it is. There's so many different initiatives that use soccer for social good. And I love that a high school rivalry that could just be a great high school rivalry and have a lot of people there.
It would still be a fun high school.
It'd be great. But now it's something special, and it's something that takes it to a whole nother level. And I hope that people in the game out there see this, and whether it's the work that Atlanta United does in the community, the work that all the local clubs do, and all the local summer league teams do, we can use this game that we're also passionate about, we'll argue about all the time. We can use it to change the world around us for the good.
I know one thing that we try to get our guys to understand, and I know Aaron Buck, great guy, I'm sure that this is something that matters to him too. One of the things we focus on, if you've got something good in your life or that you're a part of, you have a responsibility to share some of that good with other people.
100%.
And it comes in a lot of different ways you can do that. But you have a responsibility. You can't just hold on to all that for yourself. And when you learn to give a little of that good, what you find is that it's going to come back 10 times. And it's not that, I can't give this up because it's good in my life. No, giving a little of that up is going to magnify the good in your life. Yeah. And I think once they begin to learn that, they'll learn to do that with all parts of their life.
100%.
That's exactly what happened with me in my life. We start playing shows, and it's like, it comes back tenfold.
You start to realize that just, so much of it, you put that out good into the community, you will get it back, and you will see that change that you're hoping to achieve.
We had senior night Friday, and one of the guys was like, "Thank you, coach, for some things." And I said, "You're welcome." But what you don't realize is you've done 10 times more for me than I ever did for you.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm the one who's actually grateful here, you know. And you may not even realize it. You know, I lost my parents last year. And lost them both within 10 days of each other. My dad couldn't go on after 62 years without my mom. And so that happened right at the beginning of our season. And so I go to the funeral and I come home and, you know, I never miss practice, but I'm like, Brian and Grace, you gotta run practice. So I'm sitting on the end of the bed and my wife looks at me and goes, get out of here. I said, well, honey, she's like, you need to leave. You need to go to practice. You're miserable and you need a distraction. So I show up halfway through the practice and I get out and Brian and Grace have been talking to me. Coach going through something, you gotta understand. I walk out there and they're going good. And one of the guys turned around and said, and he hugs me and they work come over and hug me. And then everybody just stops practicing. They come over and hug me, you know. And I'm like, you know, all right, get in there. And I start yelling at them. At the end of the year, long story short, what I told them is I will never forget that team because as much sorrow as I had, I never left a practice or a game where they had not given me more joy than I came in terms of sorrow. I always left a little more fuller than my empty heart was when I got there. And I can never repay that. They helped me through the hardest time of my life. And they did it so naturally. And so, you know, I can never repay them, ever. They did so much more for me than I did for them.
And they would probably tell you repaid that by meeting yourself and being a coach. But that's where perspective takes over. And like you said, sometimes it's actually, hey, don't think me. Coach USM shows 27 years of touring. Nothing hit deeper, gave me more perspective. You're going overseas, playing for 18, 19-year-olds, some 25-year-olds, whatever. I was a kid with some of those shows. I would have known some of those shows for 27 years. But what they give us was way better than what they were thinking us that we gave them.
Let me ask you a question. You're tired, it's a grueling tour. You go out on stage and then that crowd roars.
Everything's different.
It's different, isn't it?
Everything's different.
You know,
In a blink of an eye.
I came home a couple of years ago and I was crying to my wife. I was like, and she goes, well, if you feel that way, you should quit. I'm tired. I said, are you kidding me? I got the best job in the world.
I didn't really mean that.
No, I'm just frustrated. I mean, she's like, exactly. You know, you need to focus on the big picture here instead of these 5 little things that are driving you nuts. And, you know, I was like, dang, she's right. I have a great wife. She always tells me the truth.
She's right, but every now and then she's got to listen.
Yeah. No, she actually does. She's explained to me I don't have to listen.
No, actually, I don't. That was not
how
in the
long
prenup.
are you going there every week to coach soccer? I don't have to listen. So, yeah. But it's true. It's all perspective.
Yeah, perspective is different.
And sometimes we don't even realize it until those big events happen. And but I've always found the players and the coaches in my life have magnified the good in my life. So hopefully these kids will learn that, and this charity work will be more than just, hey, we raise some money. It's I have some responsibility.
Bunky, I can't wait to see the game Thursday. I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks for spending some time with me, Jay. Thanks for telling the story for us.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We're going to trade out now. Will you stay up here? And let's get Eric Morrison up here. Talk a little Georgia Revolution. Because
Georgia
you
Revolution.
have something to do with these guys, too.
Other than just like loving to hang out with them, to watch soccer and talk soccer with them. Yeah, I'm kind of, I don't know. What do I do, Eric? I'm on the board. But
Hey, me too, actually.
I'm on the board.
You guys are both actually the board of a nonprofit.
We are, and it's been really cool to see. Like we were talking a lot in that segment about all the different ways that soccer can help, and that was what attracted me to it. Was you guys have an NPSL club, and you give those players a huge opportunity to get seen. Guys are getting opportunities to go onto the pro level, but because you have that team, you've got this power that you can use. And now you guys do so much in schools with after-school programs for kids who might not have access to play outside of what you bring to them. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I mean, we're in after school programs, we're providing food clinics. Yesterday we supported the Go by Each Fair. Had a mini World Cup and very cool. There was a whole lot of schools represented. We've been doing it for 6 years. It keeps growing. We really enjoy helping the school system out there. But yeah, that's been a really fulfilling part of the job is the nonprofit piece.
Yeah, I mean, the teams, you have good results, you have bad results, you have things that you're happy about, things that can be frustrating, but that stuff is such a lasting legacy of the club, and it always will be, because whether those kids go on and play for the academy, which will happen, kids who play in NPSL, kids who go on and play pro, that's great. A lot of those kids are going to end up being people like a lot of people here, going to be fans, going to be supporters.
Yeah, and how many of them are going to go? The first time I was introduced to soccer was when this guy from the Georgia Revolution came in and had a soccer ball and some soccer nets at the elementary school. And that's super cool. You talked about that from the very moment that you're talking about Georgia Revolution and what y'all could do. You've always been into that. I think it's really cool.
It's cool to leave that legacy. Now, you guys have had a big year already, and you haven't even started your NPSL season yet. You played in front of a couple thousand people.
Unfortunately.
Played in front of a couple thousand people, got to play Atlanta United in preseason, big opportunity, a lot of eyeballs attracted to the club there. And then you were in the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup. Tough trip, tough draw, and you never know how that draw is going to go. It's a long trip to Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Storms come through, the game gets delayed. Fought till the end and almost made a game of it at the end. And now you got, 6 weeks until the regular season starts.
Yeah, we're starting May 7th, the first home game, and in our new location. We're actually playing at McDonald High School now, so brand new stadium is built. So we're really looking forward to that. Beautiful turf field, brand new locker, brand new stadium. It's about a mile from where we have been playing in High.
The square there in McDonald's got all kinds of places to come hang, do a pre-show dinner and drinks. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, that's what has been really great. I mean, seeing the growth of soccer in the city with Atlanta United, seeing it at that level, I think a lot of people just zero in on that. But what you guys are doing in McDonald's, where you can go, it's important to mention that. You can go to the square, you can have a drink, you can have dinner, go to the game, come back, have a drink after the game. You can make a whole day night of it and enjoy a really good local game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You talk about the Open Cup. I thought we did pretty well in the Open Cup.
Yeah, I thought so
It was
too.
a tough draw. I mean, it's a long drive. Southern States, they're quality team. I mean,
Yeah, for a new
Birmingham
team,
better
they
not
were
go to
good.
sleep on that.
Yeah, that's
Good
right.
time.
That's right. They go to Birmingham, and I would not be surprised if the winner of that game plays Atlanta United in round 3.
I think round 3 is going to get the winner of the Charleston Battery game, but I think that's a possibility too.
Yeah, I hope not. I don't want to see Charleston again. I got to see Charleston here in a few hours with Atlanta United too. We see it every time in Open Cup. I don't want to see the Battery.
Battery's been around kicking it for a little bit, man.
93.
Oh,
They've been
wow.
around
I didn't know it was
forever.
that. I knew it was a long time. I didn't know you were going to say 90.
93. And it feels like Atlanta United plays them every year in Open Cup. Hopefully we see somebody different.
I was actually lucky enough to go there and we played Orlando. And that was a heck of a game. I think they took them to 13 or 14 PKs.
I remember
It was
that.
a
Yeah.
crazy game. That
Yes.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the Battery have a new coach. For those of you out there who maybe are going to be watching this U.S. men's national team game, kind of a big deal tonight. If you want to have a second screen going, Atlanta United 2 in Kennesaw, you can watch it on ESPN Plus. John Nelson and I will be on the call at 7:30. You can have maybe the U.S. game muted on one side, and you can listen to John and I call the twos. How about that? Is that a fair deal? Come on, please, somebody tune in. It's going to be a small crowd, I think, because everybody's going to be watching this game.
I don't know what I'm going to be. I don't know. It just sounds right. Yeah, you're right. That's what I'm doing.
Hey, come on. You can listen to us all the time with Atlanta United when you need to as well. We're here. But when we get into NPSL this season, there's a new team up in Kennesaw. You've got Georgia Storm over in Carrollton. So you're starting to create, like with high school, how you have these local rivalries. Starting to create that in NPSL too, where you got your fans going to Carrollton and your fans going to Kennesaw, vice versa.
There's a nice little Storm rivalry already.
Yeah, there
That
is.
didn't take long at all.
No.
It took about 8 minutes of the game. When we accidentally broke Stephen Davis' nose.
Yeah, there's that.
Okay, yeah, 8 minutes in, broken nose. Yeah, that'll start a rivalry quick.
That'll kick things up a notch. And faced them, what, 4 times last year?
3 times.
Twice in league and in playoff.
Playoffs once.
And in an Open Cup qualifier with the reserves,
With the reserves.
kind of, sort of, same.
Oh,
Club.
caveat with the reserves. Well, first of all, there's a
Tristan-
connection there because you got Tristan playing.
Did Tristan get on the reserves game that night, that day? My
Yes,
oldest
he
son.
did.
Yeah.
He did, and,
Got them into the next round.
and they won the Parent Cup today. I just
Oh,
got the
very
text.
cool.
There you go. There you go.
Very cool. And that's something if you don't know, and we talked about this in the build-up to that Atlanta United game. What the Revs are doing now, I think a lot of NPSL teams, you hear about the summer league teams, that's what you know. You guys have the after-school component. You guys have the academy component. You have the year-round play with the reserves, U23s, and the ADASL. It is a year-round soccer club based in McDonald.
Keeps the name out there too, man. The Revolution's always out there playing somewhere.
Yeah, it is, and it's pretty the academy. I talked to you earlier today. Our first ever academy player actually made an appearance in the Open Cup. Martin Martinez.
Yeah.
Did a fantastic job.
It's an amazing accomplishment because the academy, not that old, a few years in, got it started before the pandemic. To have somebody come through that and play in a Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup game, I've seen so many guys from NPSL teams. That is the ticket for them. Junior Sandoval went on to have a nice professional career of over 10 years. He got seen in the Open Cup with our Atlanta FC team back in 2009 when he was 17. That was what he got noticed from. He goes on and gets to make a living in the game because of it. Now you've got guys who are going to have that opportunity.
That's the idea, right?
Yeah, that's the whole plan. I love when a plan comes together.
So for people out there looking for Georgia Revolution stuff, where can they follow? Where can they go to buy tickets for these games coming up in NPSL summer?
Well, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's just Georgia Revolution, pretty easy to find. We have the website, Georgia Revolution FC. It's where we started tickets. Tickets aren't for sale just yet. Schedules just came out recently. But that's where they can go. Buy tickets to the games or pick up some merch. Or just kind of get to know the club and follow us on social media. There's some pretty cool stuff happening. And, yeah, just come out to the game.
It's awesome the way the schedule worked out this year. Saturday nights, that's when you got your NPSL games. And you have some overlap with Atlanta United games, but you don't have a ton. And if you're in Carrollton, if you're in Kennesaw, if you're in McDonough, you can go see a local game that night.
Yeah, really good local soccer, man. It's fun to be there, and it's fun to be at the atmosphere and check it out.
You're really close to the field. You can hear the players trash talking sometimes.
It's good stuff. Man.
It's great, and it's a great level, and that's the biggest thing I think over the last couple of years with the Revs and with all the other teams. The level of play has improved so much in this area.
Yeah, I think this season with the Packers, there's some natural rivalry there.
Yeah.
They hired one of their coaches as their head coach. They've got a couple of their players. So there's going to be a natural rivalry in that. It's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yep. It's only going to increase, and I think we're going to see more growth. And I tell people all the time, have your big team you follow. Of course, the national team is a big deal, but have your big teams you follow. Have your teams in Europe, South America that you follow. It's great. Get involved in the local communities as well, because that's the lifeblood of all of this.
Well, I think local soccer, and we're not the only team doing this.
Yeah.
Local soccer is where you get those non-partial doing after school programs. They're the ones that are really involved in the community. Now, Atlanta United's a fantastic job with that too.
Yeah.
But it's the local clubs where you're really ingrained. We're in Henry County. We're really ingrained in that community. I think that's the beauty of the local game. It's much more. You kind of feel like you can reach out and touch people. It's a little different.
It becomes really personal. Like those kids in the after-school programs, they meet your players. Your players are coming out and doing the coaching. They meet them. Then they get to go cheer for them in a game on the weekend. It's something I wish I had as a kid as a soccer player. I didn't have that. We didn't have a team. So it's only going to increase that love of the game that we all have.
Absolutely. You were Eagles Landing, right?
I was Eagles Landing, yep.
The soccer landscape in the South Side has changed.
Yeah. Back in the day, you were talking about it. Clayton County, YMCA is where I played as a kid. I got lucky and found it. There wasn't a lot
Clayton
in
County
that area.
actually had soccer
Yeah, a little bit.
When we were young, Henry County had none.
Henry County, yeah. I mean, even when I was in high school, when I was older, just had a little bit of like, we might have been one of the first select teams that played out of Henry County my senior year of high school. Fayette County's always had it. Fayette County has had it from the jump, and Lightning and all the growth here has been huge, and it just continually gets better and better. But now those kids who grew up in Clayton County might not have a team nearby. They've got teams close by. The high school programs are getting bigger. Those games mean more. There's just more of an outlet for the game than there ever was. It's so cool to see it grow, and that's why it's going to continue to grow. That's why you got 70,000 people at Atlanta United games. And that's why you guys can get 1,000 people. That's why Carrollton can get 1,000 people. You can get people out to these games and love it.
High school match is going to have 400, 500 people.
Exactly. That Johnson game had about 1,000. Dalton will draw a few thousand.
Big,
I mean, it's just huge. It's so cool.
That is crazy. I know the high school games were drawing the parents.
Yeah. The one game in high school that I had like that, I had two. We played at Marist. They had a huge crowd. We beat them at Marist, which was one of the most fun things I ever did on a soccer field. And then we played Stockbridge, and that was a big one at the old Stockbridge High School. It was packed full both sides.
Is that where I went to school?
I guess so, yeah. The old Stockbridge High School. Yeah.
The Netflix studio.
Really?
That's where all of Stranger Things
Oh, that's right.
was filmed at my high school.
Yeah.
A little bit of a sidebar, but watching Stranger Things was one of the weirdest things because they had not even changed the color on the walls.
Oh,
it
wow.
was my school.
That orange and green.
The orange and green. That's Stockbridge Tigers, man. They did change the one little thing at the front of the school to make it look like a different. It wasn't a tiger. It was kind of wildcat there.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the offices. Oh, that's biology room. Oh, that's the chemistry room. Oh, that's where I got in-house a bunch. You know?
Yeah, we probably had about 1,000 people for Eagles Landing Stockbridge that year, and we only lost 3 games that season, and one of them was to Stockbridge. Anyway, that's gonna do it for us. So your plans this evening: you've got U.S. Men's National Team 7 o'clock, FS1 and 2-day in Spanish. 7:30, you've got Atlanta United 2 on ESPN Plus. We're back on tomorrow morning on Twitch, twitch.tv/soccer down here, and we're going to talk about all of that stuff and hopefully be celebrating going to a World Cup. Hopefully.
I think we are. We're going to.
Score prediction?
Tonight, it's a 2-0.
Who scores? For the
USA.
US?
It's Pulisic and I don't know. I don't know what's starting on that.
I don't know yet.
I want to see our big four. Is he even on the roster? I want to see our big four. Who's the big four?
Pepe?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, Pepe started in Mexico City. It was all right. I think it's going to be Pereira up top from Dallas. I like 2-0. I'll go 2-1. I think it'll be a little tricky. I think Panama gets some off a set piece.
Again, you talked about it beforehand. People think Costa Rica, Central America, Panama.
No, you can't.
No, dude, they're full of pros. They're full of great players on this team. And like you said, they just tied Honduras. They're going to go for it.
They have to now because if they beat Honduras, maybe a draw here would be okay for them. It's not anymore. So they're gonna open it up. I'll go 2-1. I think Gio Reyna gets one, and I think Walker Zimmerman gets one off the set.
Oh, I like that.
So that's prediction.
I think 2-1 sounds good, but I'm not going to predict who's going to score the goals.
Okay. Well, then who's going to score first, U.S. or Panama?
I think U.S. will go.
Okay. That's where I'm at, too.
Panama's going to fight hard.
I think it'll be 2-0. I think Panama will get one. Have to hold
I
on
am
to
just hoping Panama does not score first.
Yeah, I don't want
Do
that.
not want to see that.
I do
I'd
not
like to
want
see
that.
like a 6-5 game because they're just fun to watch.
As long as, there's no 6-5. It's going to be easy to watch. Like if you get 6-0 and they get 5, I'm going to be freaking out.
Even with 30 seconds left, if
Yeah.
somebody just scored 5 goals on you,
I
you're
want
not
no
happy.
part of it. Okay, I don't want a 6-5 at all. I'll take 6-3. I'll give them 3. How about that? Is that fair?
Gotta have a two goal cushion.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody at Line Creek. Thanks to Bunky, Colvin. Thanks for hanging out with us, listening to some soccer talk. And Starsville McIntosh on Thursday.
Thursday night, we'll see you there. Voice of the Panthers right here.
Thanks, y'all.